What's going on, guys? I am back from vacation, as you can tell from the tan, and we are here for our penultimate episode of Season 2, 3 minutes, which, Luke, oh man, if there was ever a setup episode, like, it's funny because I gave the last 2 episodes flack for being set up, and they were, but I also forgot, I'm like, oh, there's actually a lot of stuff that happens in those 2 episodes, especially the last episode, the question mark was like a really important, impactful character piece episode, you know, for Echo and Locke. And this episode, it's like, oh, it's another filling in the gaps episode, like the other 48 days, where it's like, oh, we spent a certain amount of time without these characters, or in this case, getting to know these characters, or in this case, you know, without these characters, and now we are just literally just filling in the gaps until we get to the big finale next week, you know, where we have Michael back with us. We saw that Michael has been compromised by the others. They clearly wanted him to do something. We didn't know what that was, you know, when he unexpectedly kills, and then we figured it out. It's like, oh, he's been sent back to free Ben when he killed Ana Lucia and Libby. And now we're seeing the fallout of that. And this is the kind of the next stage of that plan where, you know, after he was successfully able to make it look like Ben was the one who killed Ana Lucia and Libby, now he's trying to be like, oh, you know, I know where the others are. They live in huts. You know, we can take them easily. But he seems a little bit too adamant about that. And I will say it shows that Jack is a doctor, because the fact that Jack was so concerned about, like, you know, making sure that Libby's passing was calm while also making sure you know, getting everything ready. You know, it seemed a little bit too adamant that Michael only wanted like certain people. It's like, okay, it's like you, me. I mean, obviously, in the beginning of the episode, it kind of works out where Michael's laying out what we think his plan is, you know, to go and attack the others and wage war with them. And it's like, it just so happens that the 4 people that he needs, Jack, Kate, Hurley, and Sawyer, are there in that room. And but it seems a little bit too convenient that he wants those 4. And obviously, as time goes on, it becomes very, very apparent. It's like, oh, okay, so this is the others' plan. Like there is the survivors don't stand a chance. This has all been set up by the others. Not to mention the fact that we don't get any Michael flashbacks to off the island this episode. Like I said, it's a filling in the gaps, because what fills in the place of the flashbacks in this episode is everything that happened with Michael from when he disappeared into the jungle in the hunting party to when he came back a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 2 episodes in season 8 of Game of Thrones before the long night. Like, you know, it's coming, and you have to get through these episodes, and we think, okay, this is the final setup episode. They're finally going to do it. And then another one, and another one, and another one. And another one. This is hopefully the final. I feel like the next one will probably still have a little bit of setup, because it's only a part 1, but
well, remember Exodus last season too. They did a pretty good job of spacing out the story for that, like across all 3 episodes. And even in the first episode, I mean, yeah, obviously you have Russo coming in and like explaining the stakes of what they need to do for the others in order to prepare. And then it turned out that whole thing was a hoax. But like there was still a decent amount of stuff that happened in the first part of that 3-parter finale.
But yeah, piecing it together in this episode, it's like, okay, you've already seen the show. I haven't. Right. I'm piecing it together. Okay. So he went there, and now he's back. We know that he was sent to set free Henry Gale, but is that the only thing that he was sent for? And then how adamant he's being is about, okay, you 4, we need to go, just us 5. It's like, oh, okay. So they sent him to get Henry Gale, or Ben Linus, whatever, and to get these 4, like for some reason, some specific reason, and we'll find out what that is. And then that gets more people involved, like Sawyer gets Sayid involved. That's another complication that he has to deal with. And then him telling Sayid to, hey, back off, that takes Sayid off, and then that sets up the last few scenes with him and Jack. So still, even though it's a setup episode, a lot of good character moments, especially Sawyer. He rattles off like 3 nicknames in one sentence.
Right.
It's so perfect.
Great. Also, him like having the bonding session with Jack as they're putting together the guns, and he's like, "Yeah, Ana Lucia, we kind of." Well, first it was
caught in the net.
Caught in the net. That was great, because the whole bit of it's like him and Kate. He's like, "Yeah, how did you guys get caught?" Anyways, he's like, "Yeah, we got caught in the net." And he's like, "Caught in a net," because of course, you know, Sawyer's mind is always the gunner, so he's always going to be thinking that. And meanwhile, Jack is always thinking
That's
practically.
What they're calling it these days.
And then he tells Jack, he's like, yeah, we kind of fucked over in the corner. He's like, what? He's like, that's how she got my gun. Caught in a net. And he's like, okay. What's it called? What did you think of Hurley's reaction? And do you think it made sense as far as Hurley deciding to go with them at the last minute? You know, when Michael's trying to be like, yo, they shot your girl, man, and you're not going to come, like, because obviously again, we know why he's doing it. He wants, because he needs Hurley, because the others have requested him to bring Hurley there. So, but also again, it's like, even from the others' perspective, I'm like, what do you want with a guy like Hurley? Like, Jack, Kate, and Sawyer, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, if like I'm just thinking about it from the other's perspective, right? I'm like, you would obviously want some of their most heavy hitters in order to presumably take them off the board so that the other survivors become easy prey, at least at this point in the show, right? And you realize what the other thought process is, but it's like, so Jack made sense, Kate makes sense, Sawyer makes sense. If they've obviously been monitoring them from afar, they know that Locke's really no longer a threat ever since his injury. Sayid, okay, it would make sense for him to go. But why Hurley is the thing that I want to know. So I guess just what did you think of that in terms of Hurley's decision making to go with them?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Samuel Tarly in Game of Thrones, like the big guy who doesn't seem like too important at the beginning, but as the show goes on, he grows into a more prominent role. So I guess this is the continuation of that, because he had the Libby thing, and then that was taken away from him. So now he's being thrust into this more active role, if you will. So
yeah, definitely.
What do the others want with him? I'm not sure yet, but I guess we'll find out. Because again, Hurley's he's not in the most stable mind right now after Libby's death. So that there's some potential there for some conflict between the group and between the others.
Yeah, Hurley just cannot catch a break at all. It's like he wound up on a desert island after the whole number situation ruined his life and everything in the real world. He finally thought he'd escaped it. Then the numbers come back. Then he has to deal with the shit in the hatch and worrying about like, being the guy that everybody hates because of eating the food. Then he meets Libby. He finally finds love. Now Libby's dead. It's like, man, this guy cannot catch a fucking break when it comes to that. And so the other thing too also is that we still really don't, even though again we have spent a lot more time with the others this season, like as characters, like they're no longer this like ethereal force in the woods. Like we see obviously the bearded man Tom, played by MC Gainey. We now have Alex, who we know, like I said, we can pretty much put two and two together. That's Russo's daughter that the others kidnapped. Ethan, obviously from last season, Goodwin when he infiltrated the other camp. We've spent however many episodes now with Ben Lyons, so we're getting to know the others as characters, but we still don't know that much about them. But they're setting us up for season 3, because like I said, season 3, that's the season where we spend a lot of time with the others and we like really see how they actually operate. And the thing is that at this point in the show, though, as much more time as we spent with them, they're still a mystery. We still don't know much about them, about their MO. We know that they have Walt, and we assume that, again, that, obviously this is the first time that we see Walt this entire season.
Who's a teenager now.
He's a teenager now. Yeah, and now you know the reason why they had to write him out, because it is so beyond obvious that like he is grown and he is not like the little kid that we saw in season 1. I mean, I don't know how they did the voiceover thing, because like his
did
voice
sound weird.
Yet, but it sounded a little weird. It's like, oh, that's why. Like, because Malcolm David Kelly is credited for this season, but he is like barely in it at all, outside of like the couple of like weird times where Shannon was hallucinating him in the woods, and then that kind of went nowhere. That was just set up for her to get killed. Yeah. Like I said, we all talked about that. The fact that Lindelof and Cuse originally had plans for Walt to be an important part, and then he grew, and they're like, oh wait, that kind of destroys our whole plan. Because if all of this is supposed to be set in real time, it doesn't make sense of why a kid ages like 10 months in the course of like however many months it is. So I don't know. Walt is, again, one of the other instances, like I said, we talked about it with Ana Lucia and Libby, where it's more behind-the-scenes issues that impacted the show going forward. Ultimately, kind of disrupted some long-term plans that they had. Like I said, Walt, they were clearly setting him up in season 1 to be a very, very important figure. He was one of the first characters that you see that has like maybe possible, special powers. And then when Michael's finally reunited with him and he asks what they've been doing with him in this episode, Walt's like, oh, they've just been having me take tests, but Walt also clearly is like trying to tell Michael something that he's not supposed to, basically, where it's like where Walt clearly knows like what the others really are. He's like, Dad, they're not who they say they are. They're not like these savages, and then obviously that's when they drag him out. So like I said, it's the thing about this episode is it's not telling you anything that you didn't already know or that you couldn't figure out for yourself, because pretty much everything here, it's like, okay, Michael, but we had already kind of figured out based off of everything that it was saying. It's like, okay, Michael went, he found the others. The others offered that he would get Walt back, but he had to do something for them. They found out that Ben had been captured by the survivors. They need Ben back because he's clearly an important figure. And so they're going to have Michael, so they're going to send Michael to free him. And then also on top of that, they're like, yeah, we need you to lead these 4 to us. Once you do those 2 things, then you get your son back. And if you don't do this, then you'll never get your son back again. And it makes sense. Again, all from a character standpoint, it makes sense because Michael has shown that he will do anything for Walt, And as Sayid rightfully points out, because again, Sayid, probably the smartest among the survivors, because unlike Jack and Sawyer and the rest of them, Sayid figures out in 5 seconds once he sees the way that Michael's acting is like, yeah, Michael's been compromised. This is not the actions of a rational-minded person. This is somebody who is desperate to get their son back and will do so by any means necessary, as he tells Jack by the end.
And he's like, he says like, hey, I was right about Henry Gale.
Yep.
I'm probably right about this. So,
Yep.
so that's just, again, this episode really just like tying up a few loose plot threads before the finale. Michael's back. Everyone learns that Michael's back. They bury Libby and Ana Lucia, and then just throw something completely unexpected into the mix in the last shot. So.
Yeah, the last shot, which we'll get to that because that's the setup for the finale. But a couple of things that happened in this episode, really, the only other 2 major details are this is Charlie, the beginning of Charlie rebonding with Claire, which is kind of nice. And also Echo taking his spot as like, I am no longer building this church. I know what my destiny is now. I'm going to sit at this computer, and every 108 minutes I'm going to type in the passcode. I am now the button master. He is basically taking Locke's place as like the new as the new guru of the island, and Locke is just sitting on the beach. He is just completely done with the island, or so, or for now, or so it seems. Like I said, not a very big Locke episode, so I thought that was pretty funny. And every time, it's really funny how every time somebody comes up to Echo, he's like, yeah, this is my purpose now. And Charlie's like, I thought we were building the church. And he's like, this is my purpose now. And he's like,
I'd be mad too. Like,
yeah, I know, I'd be pissed. It's rightfully so.
Now I have to build it myself. Like,
it's like, you came in, you ruined my life, you ruined my relationship with this girl, you potentially got me hooked on drugs again, you started me on this path of redemption by having this church. Now you're just piecing out of me again. Like, every time, like, if I were Charlie, I'd be pissed at Echo, because ever since Echo came in, he has just ruined every single minute of Charlie's life and existence on the island. So that was just, I thought that was just a funny bit. It's also really sad, but just from my perspective of somebody who's seen it before, with seeing Michael interact with all of his friends, with Sayid, with Sawyer, with Jin, who he was surviving on the raft with, and knowing that he's inevitably going to betray them all to get his son back. It's just sad, ultimately. Michael is a character who, again, from minute one, he's a character who really got the short end of the stick. Again, his wife left him because she wanted a more stable life that he was unable to provide. He was unable to live with his son for the first however many years because of the accident he was in. He's only reunited with his son after his ex-wife tragically dies, and then and then as a result, because her new husband doesn't want to raise Walt potentially has these supernatural powers. They're finally, starting to bond together as a father and son for the first time in 10 years. They crash land on this random desert island. Next thing, they're literally about to escape, and then Walt gets kidnapped by the others. It's just, Michael's another character who is just not had a break ultimately, and it doesn't help that as well developed and as fleshed out as he is, it's like his episodes always ended up being the weaker episodes. Special last season, the Adrift episode this season, which was just like another thing of showing the divorce process that he was going through, just really hammering home just how much he was getting screwed over. It's like he is a character that has ultimately always gotten the short end of the stick, and this just feels like the final nail in the coffin, especially since, I'll give you a little bit of spoiler, after the finale of the season, we don't see Michael for all of season 3. He does come back eventually, but we don't see Michael at all for season 3. So that should probably clue you in.
Lost seems to like this. Get rid of the character for the whole season and then bring them back eventually.
Yep, eventually. So,
I believe you said Desmond is going to show up again.
Yes, Desmond's back. That's his boat at the end, in case you hadn't figured that out.
Yeah,
but
I figured
it's so
it would be either Desmond or something.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, it's like I had forgotten too that, like, as important and crucial as a character as Desmond is for the second half of the show, 3 onward, he's in pretty much every episode. But I forgot that season 2, we're introducing him in the first couple episodes, then he just pieces out, and we don't see him for the whole season until the finale. So, what's it called? So there was that. That was really sad.
And the episode uses another early season 2 trick of showing us the same thing, but from another perspective. Yes. Now we saw that Michael was there the whole time. Alex was talking to him. Sure.
Yep.
Alex will be very prominent in the coming seasons.
Also, once again, continue to set up that Alex is not as much of a sociopath as the rest of the others. Also, I love how Michael just stumbles upon the one other as he's just taking a piss. Fun fact for any Breaking Bad and Quentin Tarantino fans, that's Michael Bowen as that one other. I forgot what his name was, who portrays Uncle Jack, Todd's insane Nazi uncle in the final season.
That's Uncle Jack?
That's Uncle Jack. Yep, Michael Bowen.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar.
Yep, that's him. And he also portrayed what's it called? Michael Keaton's partner in Jackie Brown, and he was also in Kill Bill Volume 1 in a rather unsavory part.
Okay.
It's anybody
I finally scratched my itch.
Yep,
Like,
the connections,
somewhere.
connections, they keep going.
All these TV actors.
All these TV actors. It's so funny too, because literally when I was in Italy, I was literally talking with a dude and I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a recap of Lost. He's like, Lost? He's like, yeah, whatever happened to those actors? I'm like, that's the thing, man. It's like, that was that era. It's like, if you were on TV, because like I said, I'm like, we said this all the way back in the premiere, the only one of these guys that Dominic Monaghan doesn't count because he'd already had Lord of the Rings. So he was on like a movie actor that was going to TV. The only one of these guys that really broke out was Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. Everybody else, Matthew Fox, Josh Holloway, Daniel Lynn Kim, yeah, but again, mostly on TV, Hawaii Five-0, and he's done a lot of voiceover work. Terry O'Quinn, all of these guys are character actor TV actors, which again, I give them credit for, because if anything, I think personally just as an actor, you have a much longer, you have much more of a longevity because you can just keep working nonstop, and you don't have to depend on your name. So if anything, it's kind of an added benefit as well. Again, it's like, and how many things have you seen these guys on? Michael Emerson on Person of Interest, Henry Ian Cusick, who plays Desmond, was on The 100, probably the most notorious Lost ripoff of them all, I
hope that you one day you watch at least season 1 and just to see
just see how bad it is. So
it's not even bad. It's just a complete ripoff.
So what you're saying is
it's a really good young adult show.
So what you're saying is it's a classic CW example of you only need to watch the first season, because after the first season you can tell they really run out of ideas and they just start repeating the same thing.
I'd say the first 4 seasons are great, and then they go to I'll spoil it.
They go to space.
Like season 6, they go to like another planet or something.
Oh no.
But the first 4 are good.
So they're taking everything that Lost hinted at, because we're like, yeah, we're just going to hint at it, because if we actually like show you it, you'll see that it's fucking stupid. And the CW is like, nah, we're just going to go full on into space. That's what we're doing.
It's based on some novels, I'm sure, but they all came out after Lost ended. So
so there you go. That tells you everything you need to know. It's one of those things. But yeah, so like I said, it ends. Our final shot is literally as they're at the funeral, they're getting ready to go, and all of a sudden, Sun spots Desmond's sailboat off the coast, and you're like, oh, this is an interesting development. How
this is a typical Lost cliffhanger. It's like, hey, this thing, like, it's out of nowhere.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Find out next week.
Find out next week, and it's gonna change everything. Yeah, because you have Echo in the hatch, you have Locke's complete loss of faith, you have the group getting ready to go once again on another expedition to fight the others. Now you have Desmond back after he's been gone for a season, and I'll give you a hint. The finale of this season, Live Together, Die Alone, is Desmond's backstory as far as how he got to the island and how he got involved with it all. So you're going to see kind of how he factors into the whole Lost mythos of it all. So that's going to be interesting. And like I said, because the way that the trajectory goes for these final 4 episodes we've been covering for all of July, 2 for the road, saying goodbye to Ana Lucia and Libby, and that sets us up for the battle against the others. The question mark, Locke and Echo's solo quest, that's what sets us up for what's going on in the hatch. And both of those are going to be the 2 centerpieces of the finale that we hit.
And they're going to converge. They're going to not press the button, and they're going to be in confrontation against the others when that happens, and then something goes boom.
And then something goes boom. Now,
then cliffhanger.
It's so funny. I love that now that you've watched so many episodes back to back, you're now finally getting all of the Lost tropes. It's great. I love it. Oh man, yeah. And so, like I said, I feel like we pretty much covered everything. I feel like that's pretty much it. Like I said, tomorrow Chris and I are going to be covering Eddington, which I watched last night, and oh man, that was a doozy of a movie. That was a doozy of a movie. I'll just leave a little hint here that if you're an Ari Aster fan, you'll probably enjoy this. I think that it's a little bit more consistent and streamlined than Beau is Afraid is. That being said, it does suffer from a lot of the usual problems that Ari Aster movies do suffer from. I still think that my personal favorite is still Beau is Afraid. Nothing will ever top that, but I'm glad that Ari got away from like the horror trappings. That's the best thing that happened to him, because if he had kept making horror movies after Hereditary and Midsommar, I think that would have just stalled his career. But I'm glad that he's like expanding outside and doing other sorts of genres. So tune in tomorrow for the Eddington review, and tune in next week for the big one, the big summer midpoint sort of finale, Fantastic Four, and the season 2 finale, Live Together, Die Alone. Luke, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
They can follow me at Luke Reviews on YouTube. My damn Marvel edit has picked up traction again, and it's 6th year of life. So I think I should upload something. I think if Fantastic Four, actually, I'll make something about Fantastic.
Oh, but yeah, I was about to say the history of the Fantastic Four movies would be a great video.
Oh, I have to watch them all.
You're like,
can I just make one about the new one?
You're like, not Fan Four Stick. I don't want to have to suffer through that one again.
I haven't seen it. I've only
Oh,
seen
you
clips.
are so much better off. You are. So that is still, that might be a top 10 worst movies I've ever seen in theaters. That is just like, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, I also saw a thing of where it's like, they showed the Thing from that version, and they're like, man, they really made our man the Thing look like a thing from Popeye's Chicken, and I couldn't unsee it now. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was one of the the lesser Nolan influenced superhero movies. But now we're 17 years on past the Dark Knight. I think we're finally leaving.
Yeah, we're finally leaving that era behind.
Like, if you look at Superman, it's like totally removed.
It's like, things can finally be bright and poppy and flashy again. And it gives me hope for X-Men, because that means I'm like, oh my god, the X-Men are actually going to have their yellow spandex suits that Bryan Singer was terrified of doing, 25 years ago. So
Nolan's influence, we got with the Dark Knight, we got a lot of great stuff. We got Fallout, we got the Planet of the Apes movies, but now it's like, okay, we need something else.
Time to put that behind us.
Big and colorful, like comic books are meant to be. So
yes, Man of Steel directly after Dark Knight Rises, and the people's thoughts on that are hit or miss. So you guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin TV Podcast across all platforms, and we will see you guys next week for the grand finale.